Hey everyone, thanks for joining in. You're listening to E412 Catalyst. E412 Catalyst exists to equip and encourage everyone to be making disciples in the everyday stuff of life. My name is Andrew Manwaran. I've been a pastor for over 20 years, and nothing thrills me more than to unleash God's people for God's purpose of making disciples. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the E412 Catalyst podcast. Our mission here is simple: to unleash disciple makers to live on mission for Jesus, where they live, learn, work, play, and worship. We're in a series called Beholding, rooted in 2 Corinthians 3:18. And it says, "We all, with unveiled face, beholding the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image from one degree of glory to another." The goal of this series is not just to fill your head with theology, it's to help you behold God so deeply that it changes how you live, how you disciple others, and how you engage the world around you. Last time, we talked about the God who knows you personally. Today, we're expanding the lens. God knows everything perfectly, completely, eternally. Listen to these verses. God is greater than our heart, and he knows everything. That's 1 John chapter 3, verse 20. Or how about this verse? He determines the number of the stars. He gives to all of them their names. Great is our Lord, and abundant in power. His understanding is beyond measure. That's Psalm 147, 4 through 5. And then Isaiah chapter 42, verse 9 says, "Behold, the former things have come to pass, and new things I now declare. Before they spring forth," you catch that? Before they spring forth, I tell you of them. And again, that was Isaiah chapter 42, verse 9. So a few thoughts here. Number one, God knows everything instantly. Let that settle in. God knows everything instantly. God doesn't need to pause and calculate. God doesn't need Google for answers. God doesn't wait for a download to finish. God knows all things at once, fully and perfectly. Wayne Grudem in his systematic theology put it like this: God knows all things actual and possible. Every event, every outcome, every potential scenario, he knows them all in exhaustive detail. Man, think about that, right? Every planet in the universe, every grain of sand on Earth, every thought in your mind before it forms, every alternative reality if history had unfolded differently. God knows it all, effortlessly. There's no gaps in his mind. He knows it instantly. Number two, God knows the end from the beginning. Isaiah chapter 46, verse 10 says, "Declaring the end from the beginning, and from ancient times things not yet done, saying, My counsel shall stand, and I will accomplish all my purpose." What we see from that verse is God doesn't learn the future. God authors the future. That's why David could rest in Psalm 139, verse 16, where he says, "In your book were written, every one of them, the days that were formed for me, when as yet there was none of them." That means no event takes God by surprise. No circumstance catches him off guard. No suffering, slips through his fingers. God knows it all from beginning to end. Number three, God knows the smallest details. Jesus said very clearly in Matthew 10, 29 and 30, this question: "Are not two sparrows sold for a penny? And not one of them will fall to the ground apart from your Father. But even the hairs of your head are all numbered." The hairs of your head are all numbered. He knows you intimately. If God knows the number of hairs on your head, and let's be honest, maybe for some of us that's a shrinking number, how much more does he know the details that really matter? Nothing is hidden. Nothing is overlooked. Nothing catches God by surprise. Number four, God knows all possibilities. Now, we hinted at this a little bit already, but I want to just circle back to it and dig into a little bit more, because this one just blows my mind. It should blow your mind. In Matthew 11:21, Jesus says that if the people of Tyre and Sidon had seen his miracles, they would have repented. In other words, God not only knows what will happen, he knows what would have happened and under any other set of circumstances. Isn't that incredible? That means his knowledge isn't just factual, his knowledge is infinite. He knows every ripple effect, every what if, every possibility. It's incredible, right? That just blows our minds beyond comprehension. What a God he is. Let me try and maybe illustrate it this way. Maybe a silly illustration, but it works for me. I hope it works for you. I remember as a kid, maybe 8, 9, 10 years old, I used to love these things called Choose Your Own Adventure books. I don't even know if they still exist, but you'd get to page 10 and it would say, if you open the door, turn to page 25. And if you run away, turn to page 40, that kind of thing. And you keep going through it and figure out different ways and events and things that would happen. Well, God knows every single page, every ending, every twist, because he's the author. And because he knows it all, you can trust him when he calls you to step out in faith. So what's the point? The point is, if God knows everything perfectly, you can do these things. You can rest when the future feels uncertain, because the author already knows the ending. You can take a risk having that gospel conversation, because God knows exactly what that person needs to hear and has brought him into your life sovereignly and graciously. You can also do this. You can release control. You don't have to be in control. Things don't have to go according to your plan, because God's plan never fails. There's your rest. There's your rest. That means you can move toward people with confidence, your neighbors, your coworkers, your family members, because the all-knowing God goes before you, and he knows their lives intimately, and he's brought you into their life to speak the truth in love. So let us encourage you. The God who knows everything, past, present, future, he knows you. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to trust the one who has all the answers. What a God that is, who knows all things, the end from the beginning, the big picture and the smallest detail. Rest in his wisdom, trust his plan, step boldly into the mission he has given you, because nothing is hidden from him. Well, thanks for joining us on the E412 Catalyst podcast. We're going to keep diving into this topic here, some time on God's omniscience, that he knows all things. And next time we'll behold another life-changing truth, that the God who knows everything also knows the worst about you and I, and he still loves us. How's that possible? That's what we're going to talk about next week. Until then, keep beholding him, keep living sent for his glory. Thank you so much for joining me today on E412 Catalyst. If you found this information helpful and would like more encouragement to be living on mission for our great God, follow us on our social media channels and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at E412 Training. You can also explore our many resources at e412training.org. See you next time.